When I was a small child, we moved from London to Coventry, and in the house there, I started having what my parents first thought was an imaginary friend, and her name was Aggie. And they stopped thinking it was an imaginary friend when we were doing things like playing hide and seek, and I'd say, Aggie's behind the curtains, and they'd look, and the curtains had a lump and were moving. Then I went to bed early, and I have got ADHD, so I didn't sleep. And my parents were intrigued as to why I'd said I was going to go to bed. So they went upstairs and listened, and they could hear me talking, but then weirdly they hear another child's voice answering back. So they immediately started to understand that Aggie maybe wasn't an imaginary friend, and that maybe it was something else. And what is really interesting is when we moved house in Coventry, Aggie disappeared. It was only in that house that I would talk to her and communicate with her and play with her. The experience moved on when we came up north and we moved to Brompton by Sordon, into what I termed the demon house. And that's when things changed from what was originally something really light and cheerful and fun and part of my childhood entertainment into something really dark, negative, and to be honest, quite traumatic and scary. There was poltergeist activity, day and night, your almost typical horror type activity. You know, swarms of flies would suddenly appear, puddles of water would appear on the floor, but also apparitions. And what was interesting is different people, not just in the family, would come and see apparitions in the house. But they were all different, from an old man to a little girl with red eyes, to what I saw finally, which really filled me with dread, was what I can only describe as something that black. It was sucking the light out of the world. It was so black, it was blacker than any black you could even imagine. I was outside, it was night, I heard someone running, I turned around and a figure, probably maybe 5 foot, ran past me, no features, just pure black, as close as you could get without touching, and I could feel almost a hatred for humanity. That's the only way I can describe it, dripping off it, and it just ran and sprinted around the corner, and I just sprinted straight inside, didn't want anything to do with it, and kind of couldn't wait to get out. And my kind of intrigue into the paranormal was to almost defeat the trauma, find out answers, and be philosophical about what it meant. What I love about the paranormal is you can only hypothesize. You can't come up with a theory because a lot of it can't be tested. And also we do know that when things have been measured, as soon as it becomes a theory that is measured, it seems to change, and it's that trickster element. But it's about our spiritual existence, of what it means, of where do we go, realising our own insignificance in a way, and growing into kind of a higher learning of consciousness. I think that most of the paranormal, I don't personally believe it's dead people. I believe it's a separate consciousness that exists and at different vibrations, and that it chooses to connect with certain people. And I think once you have connected, instead of a lot of people experience it and go, oh no, it wasn't, and carry on with their lives, well, other people kind of tune in almost like a radio transmission and hear it. And then once you do that, then it will notice you back, and it continues to reoccur and everything.